We're talking about the future of education and the leaders of tomorrow. This is DXB Today. Hello and welcome. Global thought leaders and decision makers are in Dubai for the World Government Summit, and everything from the economy to innovation in health and sustainability are on today's agenda.
Also making its summit debut is the Forum of Education. All through today, specialists and experts have been talking about the future of learning, and on DXB Today, we want to dig deeper and find out how this affects each one of you.
DXB Today's team has been at the Madinat Jumeirah to keep track of developments. There has been quite a range of sessions and events that have been going on. Team, what about you? What do you think has stood out the most to you so far?
The opening ceremony, when we talk about artificial intelligence, clearly you think at some point when you first hear about AI that it's a threat to your own job, but when you see that the 10th symphony for Beethoven has been completed 200 years after his passing by an AI, it makes you really say, I can't underestimate this.
It is incredible. And you know what? You've been involved in the World Government Summit for many years now. What stood out for you this year?
In addition to artificial intelligence, in addition to everything that came out of the summit in a cycle of 10 years, this is the 10th cycle of the World Government Summit. I'm looking forward to the aspects of policy makings, because this is more than just a dialogue and question. This is the right answers from the right questions. And of course, sustainability.
Well, today, education was one of the central themes in the spotlight. Our guest co-host is at the heart of what's happening in the education sector here in the UAE and is training tomorrow's entrepreneurs. Let's meet her.
Hi, I'm Helen, and I'm the founder of Future Entrepreneurs and the CEO of BizWorld Middle East. And I'm really excited to be here today with you all.
Excited to talk to Helen about the future of learning. But before we get to that, Katie's been talking to the experts at the summit about some of the key issues that delegates have been addressing. Let's take a look.
It's an opportunity to talk about education for children and for young people, and how education is very, very critical, especially at this time, where we'd like to see how we can prepare, the children and young people for future jobs.
What would you say to the other attendees then of the World Government Summit? Like, if you could give them one message for you to try and get that across, what would it be?
Look at localized talent and look at regional talent in a very inclusive manner. Don't exclude somebody because you think they don't have that one skill or they don't have the social capital. Invest in that, and you are going to have a pipeline to talent and no longer struggle to have that human capital for growing your business.
First of all, of course, it's really critical to invest in education. If you want to build a nation, if you want to build a strong economy, you need to invest in education. But investing in education is also about ensuring that the children are getting the right education. The children are getting the right set of skills and knowledge that will help them to be able to enter the markets in the future.
Both speakers there stressing on the importance of education to ensure kids are prepared for the job market they are entering into. Now, I know, Helen, that is exactly something you are incredibly passionate about, so tell us more about what you do.
So I started in 2016 because I saw that there was a very big gap in the way that the education system was operating. Students today are learning things that don't really necessarily prepare them for the world of tomorrow. So I do entrepreneurship education, and I start from as young as kindergarten, because these are skills that you have to develop at a very young age. And we've been working with students from kindergarten all the way through to university, teaching them how to build their entrepreneurial mindset. Things like resilience and grit and creativity. It's not about everyone being an entrepreneur. It's about being entrepreneurial and having an entrepreneurial mindset, no matter what career path you choose.
Amazing, I love
So
that.
this is an important skill set that we should keep, of course, when we're talking about education to children. But our next guest is here to fill us on how technology and platforms can increase skill. She is the co-founder of a digital platform that teaches Arabic. Please welcome Farah Lakani from Arabi. Welcome on the show. Thank you for joining us. When it comes to teaching children, specifically from an e-learning platform, most of them speak, of course, English all of the time, but how do you plant the love of the Arabic language?
Thank you very much for having us. Basically, we use different tools and we use cognitive dissonance. And what we've done is we've taken things that aren't usually together. For example, when we're teaching the letter Dal, we have a duda wa dajaj ala daraja. So a worm and a chicken on a bicycle. The children see this bicycle with the worm and the chicken and a bear cycling around, and they remember the vocabulary. So by putting the left and the right parts of the brain together, using creative visuals, colourful images, nice music, it embeds the language. And it's fun. The children, basically, it's on a pedagogy of fun.
I mean, that's what it's all about, right? I think I'm your target audience because I've got two boys, we're Egyptian, Emirati, we're super mixed in our family, and we're really struggling to get them to learn the language. So you make it fun. What are some practical advice that you can give us that we can implement in our homes as well?
Talk to them in Arabic. Even if they respond to you in English, talk to them in Arabic. Refuse to speak to them in English. Make it fun for them. Sing songs. We have songs, games. I mean, here are some of our resources. They're books, flashcards, games, just to make them enjoy the language by making it accessible for them. Even little things like they learn a vocabulary and then you just identify it, point to it, and they'll say kitab. And that gives them the confidence. It's building that confidence in a way that you do with your natural language. Like we teach Arabic the way a mother tongue is taught. Like when I taught my children English, they're eating, you say plate, spoon. We've done the same with the Arabic language. We're making it easy for parents. So even if you're a non-Arabic speaker, we use icons, so you don't even have to know the language. You can support your child's educational journey in learning Arabic with us.
And if you don't mind me asking, how does this translate into the older years? So a lot of people are working with younger children on teaching them Arabic. What happens when they're teenagers?
Well, if you haven't embedded the love of language at an early age, they will never love it. So by the time they get to 6, 7, if they've had a maths teacher, for example, getting that child at the age of 6 or 7 to turn around and say, oh, I hate maths, to get them to change, it's harder to change than it is to make them like it from the beginning. So by starting, and I would say even pre-K, age 1, 2, just put the songs on in the background, put the app on, have it playing in the car, the songs, the music, and then what we do is we use a video to teach the concept, and then there's a game. So for example, there's one with the numbers. You watch the video, you learn the numbers, and then you've got a fence and you've got the cows on this side and it says 7. You have to move the 7 cows to this side, or giraffes, or cats, or dogs. It's just fun, and it's a very accessible way for children.
And absolutely, I mean, talking about games, you've got a book in front of you. You've also got 2 toys. I see 2 little teddy bears.
Well, these are the teddy bears that go with the physical resort.
Exclusive with Mind Valley's Vishen Lakiani that you will not want to miss. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Now, incorporating well-being, digital technologies and transformation across education has been on the summit agenda all day today. But how do NGOs tie into all of this, Helen? You can tell us more about that.
How do NGOs tie into all of this? Well, I think there's a very essential part of being an entrepreneur, being a human, that is about giving back. And I think all of us are here to make the world a better place. A lot of these NGOs are doing a lot of work on the ground with children through education, and there's a lot of pieces that need to come together. One is civil society needs to come together to try to support all of these organizations, but also as individuals. I mean, I'm involved in a number of NGOs, all of which deal directly with children, with youth, with women, and education is at the heart of it all. And if we don't all work towards it, then I think society is going to be in very big trouble.
Thank you, Helen. Now to discuss how AI and data are coming together to shape future conversations, Faris Sarakat got a chance to talk to the CEO of Dubai Future Foundation, His Excellency Khalfan Bilhol.
The World Government Summit is well underway here at the gorgeous Madinat Jumeirah, and we've been catching up with some of the most influential, innovative and brilliant minds that the UAE has seen, both locally and around the world. And today I had the opportunity to catch up with His Excellency Khalfan Bilhoul, the CEO of the Dubai Future Foundation. This is what he had to say. Your Excellency, there's been a lot of talk around the UAE and around the world, of course, about artificial intelligence. Can you tell us if the UAE is committed to embracing this brand new technology, or is it more focused on making sure that regulations are in place to make sure this type of technology doesn't go too rampant?
The UAE is really focusing on embracing and resolving and taking full ownership to contribute to it is by having a Minister for Artificial Intelligence, and he plays obviously a massive role in that. But the whole idea is that we in the UAE with our leadership understand that we need to be constantly agile and on the edge in understanding what are the global future challenges. We understand AI is going to play a massive role. We understand the value of data. We understand that the metaverse world is something that we haven't even scratched the surface for. But what we also understand is, in order for all those issues or all those solutions as well to be really executed in the best way, we cannot be a fragmented world. We need to be unified, policies need to be unified, and we need to all sing the same song as a world. And you've heard this as a message in the World Economic Forum in Davos. You've heard it today from His Excellency Mohammed Al-Gargawi, who said we had just started the first second of the first minute of the first day of the first year when it comes to the artificial intelligence and AI and data. So it's about how agile you are as a country and connecting the private sector with the government, but also how agile you are with other countries to ensure that there's cross-border alignment when it comes to the digital economy.
That's very insightful. Now, you mentioned the metaverse, you touched on that, so I just want to ask, there's been a lot of talk over the past few years when it comes to the UAE and the UAE government and the metaverse. Is that something that the UAE is still committed to moving forward with and expanding?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you might recall that at Dubai Future Foundation, we have our flagship convening, which is the Dubai Future Forum, which discusses all the future trends and opportunities, and we invite more than 400 futurists from all over the world. But more importantly, whenever we see a niche sector or opportunity that we need to laser focus on, we also call for an assembly for that specific topic. And that's what happened with the metaverse. We had the Dubai Metaverse Assembly. We got the private sector, the decision makers from the government and the private to come and have a dialogue. And I'll be very frank, we spent hours and hours, but I think we are still in the beginning. We really need to figure out what's going to happen. It's a totally exciting world. There's more than $5 trillion of economy by 2030. We see the value, but we also see the things that we need to make sure we, let's say, mitigate. Mental well-being, being on the screen, physical well-being, obesity, how much time do you spend on social skills if you're on the screen the whole time? How can you really extract the value, but at the same time mitigate the risk, but at the same time have a policy that's aligned with the rest of the world? And this is what we're working on.
So there you have it, straight from His Excellency. The UAE's future is looking bright, with technology coming at a very fast pace thanks to artificial intelligence and the metaverse. Can't wait to see what we can look forward to for the World Government Summit 2024.
That was a great piece right there. But to help us understand how the summit is accelerating the future of work, we have the Executive Director of Future Foresight and Imagination at Dubai Future Foundation. Here's Dr. Patrick Noack. Happy to have you here with us. And it's always nice to see what the World Government Summit comes up with. I mean, the most beautiful building in the world, the Museum of the Future, started as a concept from the World Government Summit. So what can we see in the future in terms of the latest scientific practices?
So look, I think with the summit we're going to see a number of initiatives that are going to be proposed and promoted by government to anticipate what kind of science is needed in order to develop the kinds of technologies that we want to ensure so that our lives in the future are going to be better. If we want to ensure growth, prosperity and well-being of our societies, there's a number of investments that we'll have to make in education, in basic science, and then also in the translation from the science that has been developed to technologies that we think can aid our species going forward. We're faced with a number of challenges, whether they're climate change, whether they're about employment, whether they're in fact some of the challenges might present opportunities, right? We've been talking about artificial intelligence, and so that is a scientific development in its own right, and will promote scientific development going forward. So how do we turn all of these aspects into the opportunities that we wish them to be?
I mean, Dr. Patrick, your title in itself is quite telling of the direction in which we're going. Executive Director, Future Foresight and Imagination of Dubai Future Foundation. Could you tell us more about Future Foresight and why Dubai is now investing so much more than ever before?
Look, I think one of the important aspects and really curious aspects is that it's a young country, and the future of the country feels much more than its past, right? So that has always been, certainly for the past 20 years, the focus of the way we do things. There's also an expectation that the future doesn't just happen to us. We don't bumble into the future. It's something that we want to design and then deliver upon. And so with that, in order to think about the future, you need to be quite imaginative. You need to anticipate what that might look like, what you might want to have. And with that in mind, you can then design and execute the best possible methods, tools, processes to get you there.
I mean, essentially, what is the role of a future foundation, and what's the kind of research that you're putting into it?
So we're here to advise the leadership of Dubai on the future and where we think the future might be going. The way we do that is through extensive research. We've published yesterday our Global 50 Opportunities Report. We've published last week our Megatrends Report. And we've also released yesterday with the opportunities a Growth, Prosperity and Wellbeing Report. All of these bits of information are really the basis and the content for us to move forward and to shift the needle on what we think is possible to what we think are the opportunities to get us there. And it's a little bit of the other side of the coin of a lot of organizations that always think about the risk and the gloomy things out there. So we say, what are the opportunities to get us to where we want to be?
And I have a question coming from the space of education. AI, innovation, good or evil? Ooh. How do we decide what the role of innovation, AI, and all of these things are in the world of education?
I think innovation has always been there. Change has always been there. I was reading recently in the 4th century, there was a fellow who was Ambrose, who was Bishop of Milan, and he invented silent reading. Before then, people were just reading out loud, and he was reading silently. Fast forward to the 1400s, and you had the invention of the printing press. So that allowed people to produce 3,000, 4,000 pages per day, as opposed to half a page per day. So change, innovation, technology has always been there. I think it's an opportunity if harnessed properly, and if we can orient ourselves to ensure that artificial intelligence is something that we continue to own and direct and use for the benefit that we want it to
Dr. Patrick, allow me to stop you there. So, in short, do you think we can see a future where our children are educated by an artificial intelligence, and should I be afraid?
Always be afraid when you're not entirely in charge of your own children's education. So I think it's not a way to abdicate our responsibilities. I think it can promote some of the things that we do, but we'll still keep owning our kids, and we'll make sure that they do the right things. Ultimately, it's about instilling the right sense of responsibility and the right sense of who they are in this world.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Patrick. It was wonderful. And Helen, wonderful to have you as our guest co-host today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you both. Now it is time for a quick break, but don't go anywhere, because when we are back, we've got an exclusive with the one and only Vishen Lakhiani, the CEO of Mind Valley. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. It's a DXB Today World Government Summit special.
Yes, absolutely. Also speaking at the summit this year was renowned entrepreneur, author and activist Vishen Lakhiani. I got a chance to talk to the Mind Valley CEO about his sessions on mindful leadership and women empowerment. Take a look.
Vishen Lakhiani, thank you so much for joining us on DXB today. So, CEO and founder of Mind Valley, tell us why you are here in Dubai for the World Government Summit.
Well, I love Dubai. I find that every time I'm in Dubai, the concentration of brilliant people here is exhilarating. Everywhere I go, every conference I attend, I just meet people who feed me with ideas. And the way I run my company is I spend 40% of my time with my team, working from home or working on Google Hangouts or Zoom, but 60% of the time, I need to be out there looking for great ideas, expanding my vision, coming up with new inspirations. And I find a lot of that in Dubai. Dubai is attracting so many smart minds.
Yes, absolutely. So do you feel, I know you're speaking about leadership specifically and mindful leadership. Is there a link between mindfulness and becoming a better leader?
Absolutely. So, but first you got to break it down, right? So the principle of mindfulness is really, a key part of it is really presence and patience. It's the idea of being able to detoxify yourself from stress so that you can be grounded, you can be present, and science shows that if we can lower our stress, not only does our health improve, but our thinking improves. But it doesn't just stop there. The way we make decisions improve because you're less panicky, you have less anxiety. The way you interact with other people improve. And so mindful leadership is just one of many different forms of leadership that Mindvalley looks at. Mindful leadership is basically leadership where you're integrating mindfulness into your approach, and thus you can be present, you can be stress-free, you're better able to access levels of creativity, but it's just one. There's also transformational leadership. We have programs on that as well. Transformational leadership is where the people you lead transform with you. You're elevating them. You're getting them to hit new heights. You're getting them to become the best versions of themselves. So there are many different types of leadership. What I was talking about today was just a tiny slice of the grand spectrum of leadership, and that was leadership in a mindful sense.
That's absolutely incredible. So one of the biggest themes of the World Government Summit this year is around education, right? So how does lifelong learning actually contribute to, improving your leadership style?
I'm so glad you asked that. So I was really honored to be asked by the Emirati government to produce a program called Mastering Growth Mindset for all civil servants here in the Emirates. Lifelong learning is essentially mastery of what is called a growth mindset. If you look at today's world, the world is changing so fast that if you aren't constantly growing, you are going to be obsolete. For example, this very month, anyone working in any type of communications field, if they are not using ChatGPT, they are officially obsolete. Because ChatGPT is such a massive enabler of productivity. And if you're not doing it, your competition is the other person vying for your job. And so we need a growth mindset because we constantly have to be learning and growing. Now, the good news is growth mindset is not very hard to do. They are simple practices. One of the most important practices is if you're working a 40-hour week, you take 2 of those 40 hours and you block off that time. So maybe it's Wednesday from 4 to 6. You block off that time to stop doing what you're doing and to look at how can you be better at what you're doing. Even if you're, say, in customer support, and if you can get permission from your boss, you would block off 4 to 6 p.m. and you would say study books on communication, or read books on customer support or customer satisfaction, or maybe use that time to dabble with ChatGPT in terms of composing customer support replies. If you adopt that, you are going to constantly innovate. And the thing is, if you're not doing that, you will stay stagnant at the same level, doing the same job forever and ever and ever. But people forget that. It's so common these days to get trapped into a wheel of busyness where you don't have time to grow. And worse, you don't have time to catch up on your sleep. You don't have time to create balance in your life. That's the wrong way. And that is going to keep you in a perpetual hamster wheel, constantly running and running and running, trying to catch up. But when you adopt a growth mindset, because you're bringing in the latest tools, you're learning latest ideas, what you find is that what takes you 40 hours a week, eventually you can do it in less and less and less and less and less time. For example, I'm a CEO. This past month, I shaved off 1 hour a day in work because I gained mastery of ChatGPT. Wow. Now, it took me a weekend. I sacrificed a weekend to go really deep in this new technology. But as a result of maybe that 10 hours spent on a weekend, I now save 5 hours every week. Communication emails, memos to my team, emails to my customers, all are now significantly faster because of ChatGPT. But I took the time to learn that. That is growth mindset. And whether you're at the customer support level and you are 21 years old and fresh out of university, or you're a CEO, if you can budget that 2 hours a week to create what is called innovation time, you're going to get better and better at what you do. Now, of course, this is just one of the principles that I'm teaching in the Growth Mindset program for the Emirati government. There are many other principles you can bring in, but the idea is never stop growing. And if you stop growing, you start stagnating.
Vishen Lakiani, it's been a personal honor. Thank you so much on behalf of DXB Today for joining us.
Thank you.
Mindvalley is also hosting a 2-day workshop on self-development and learning next week in Dubai. Keep your eyes and ears open for part 2 of Daat's interview next week on DXB Today.
Do not forget, though, if you do come across some exciting developments from the summit itself or across the city in general, make sure to tag us on your socials with the hashtag DXB Today.
That's the hashtag, all right. And for now, that's all from us today. We will be back tomorrow for the last day of the summit, where our focus will be on innovation of the future. See you tomorrow.